In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, one God. Very blessed Palm Sunday to all of you. It's a joyous feast. Shanini and Barki. A few of you know the response. You know, this is a very joyous day throughout the Christian world. We are so happy to have a full church. I can't tell you the joy that brings to me, but we're sort of lightweight when it comes to crowds. The church that I attended and served as a newly graduated seminarian had an average attendance about 100, 150 people on a typical Sunday. But Palm Sunday, we had, about 1,000, literally. Every square inch of the church was full. There were people in the hall watching on what was then closed-circuit television before we had YouTube. And we have to ask ourselves, why is it? Well, there's lots of reasons. There are a lot of cultural reasons that make this a special holy day. But there's one reason I think that we don't always understand, and I want to focus on that today. And that is that we, as a people, love a winner. We love a winner. And especially an underdog winner. We really love winners, and we really love underdog winners. Now, it doesn't just pertain to what we're celebrating today. Those of us that are sports fans know the joy when our team wins and the pain when they don't. Maybe you backed a horse getting ready for horse racing season. You know the joy of having your horse come in, the one that you picked, the one that you backed. Maybe you picked a stock. And when it becomes a winning stock, it's a nice feeling. Nice to see that happen. But you know what? In all of these examples, and the most important example that we're going to talk about today on this Blessed Palm Sunday, there is an important fact, not really a secret, but important but little known fact to how you make sure you pick the right winner. You don't want to pick the winner that wins or looks to be winning, but in the end loses. And how often is that the case? How many of you have picked a stock because somebody said, you got to get in on this. Looks to be really good, and it looked really good to whoever gave you the stock tip, only for you maybe to watch it drop. Or maybe your team, they finally draft a good coach or a good team. They're doing so great all season, and then maybe right before or even during the playoffs, they just collapse. All of our skill at picking winners, when in the end, if they end up being the loser, doesn't matter. What's important is not just picking a winner that looks like a winner, but pick a winner that ends up as a winner. And today, of perhaps most days of our Christian year, Jesus is a winner. We heard in the readings that prepared us and told us about this feast that the reason the crowds came together was to see Jesus, who had raised a man from the dead, as we just heard from the gospel, also to see Lazarus, the man who had been dead. Talk about a winner. Imagine you not only had faced death, it had come to you. And then to come back and be made whole and alive again. So it's no accident that throughout the Christian world today, as it was 2,000 years ago, it's a day to get behind Jesus as the winner. Only on that first Palm Sunday, there was something that some of the crowds noticed, and many didn't. When they heard that Jesus had raised Lazarus, and if he could conquer death, they were imagining, what else could he do? We heard in the gospel at Orthros today, the crowd was stirring. The whole city was in an uproar. One question, who is this? But one answer, he sure looks to be a winner. So much so that they're going to line the streets on the way into the city and through the city as he comes in. And they hear he's coming, and they go and they're grabbing their palms, their branches. They're taking off their cloaks, laying them on the ground for his donkey to walk on. And then it dawned on some of them, wait a minute. He's riding on a donkey. Now, we know the story. It's not a surprise to us. But if you were expecting a winner on that first Palm Sunday, you certainly did not expect him riding into town on a donkey. It's not how winners act. Winners dress to look like winners. Winners drive cars that look like winners. And winners in the first century, they don't mount a donkey. They find the biggest and strongest and whitest white horse, and they ride into town as a victorious leader. That's what victors do. That's what winners do. And yet on this first Palm Sunday, the observant at least had reason for pause. What's going on? He's not looking like the winner we thought we came to see. Now, I don't know if any of them on that day gave up and said, you know what? I thought I was going to back this guy, but he's going to come into town on a donkey. He can't do anything for me. And I'm guessing some of them on that day, that first Palm Sunday, walked away. Very disappointed. This was not what we thought we came to see. But if there are others that stuck around longer through the week, trying to find him, trying to listen to him, throughout the week he's going to say and do things, many things, that will cause others to go, wait a minute, he's not the winner we thought he was. And finally, on Great and Holy Thursday, that first one, they're going to learn, the crowds will learn either late that night or the next day, that he's been arrested. Not just because of the Jewish authorities, but because the Romans also. In fact, the Gospels tell us that at the arrest and trial of Jesus, Herod and Pilate for the first time became friends. They bonded over taking this one who would make himself to be a winner, and they were going to show him to be the ultimate loser. And everything they did to him was to show that to him and to anyone else, and make no mistake about it, this one is not a winner, he's a loser. They'll beat him. They'll spit in his face. They'll punch him. And then they'll mock him. And look how they mock him. They put a robe of glory on him and plait a crown on his head. Only it's a robe and a crown of mocking, because the crown is made of thorns. And some people will see the one they thought was going to be a winner, and they'll say, this isn't a winner. He's the biggest loser I've ever seen. And they'll walk away. Others, still trying to hold on to faith, will be there Friday morning, not lining the streets where he's walking, riding on a donkey, but now beaten and carrying a cross, his own cross for his own execution. And they'll hear their leaders, their religious leaders, mocking him, saying, you thought you were the Christ? Save yourself. And after they put him up on the cross, they'll say, take yourself down if you're the Christ, the one who claimed to be a winner. But on that same Holy Friday, things are going to start changing. At his greatest moment of apparent loss and defeat, the ultimate shameful defeat, hanging from the cross as we see him in the icon of the crucifixion. When finally, at the final loss that anyone can have, he breathes his last breath and bows his head and gives up the spirit. Right at that deepest moment of defeat, something's going to start changing. The sun was darkened, and the earth could not behold the Son of God hanging on the cross. The earth is going to quake. And in that great earthquake, and seeing the sun darkened, a leader of that same occupying Roman army that had mocked him and showed him to be the loser they thought he was, that pagan Roman centurion will look at Jesus on the cross and say, truly, this was the Son of God. Truly, this was a winner. My brothers and sisters, that's what we're going to watch as we go through this Holy Week, and I want to encourage all of you to go through it as fully as you can so that that truth of the one who looked to be the ultimate loser, by the time we get to Pascha, is actually the ultimate winner. If we go through Holy Week, we're going to see that. But one of the reasons we need to see that is not just to see him, but that we can see him as he is and then decide for ourselves, what do we say about him? Lots of people backed him for a time. Lots of people said, this is the winner, I know he's going to be, and then thought they were proven wrong. So where are we in the story? We'd like to say we back God. Of course he's the winner. We've come here into a crowded church on Palm Sunday morning. Of course we back God. Of course Jesus Christ is the winner. And yet all of us, if we are honest with ourselves, will face the harsh reality that that acceptance of Jesus Christ being a winner is not the rule of our life. It's the exception. It's the rule this morning, and we thank God for that. We thank God for this joyous day. But if we're honest, we look back at our lives and we see so many times where we thought we were backing God, trusting God as our winner, as our victor, as our champion, only to find that we looked at ourselves honestly. We really didn't back him at all. We really didn't trust him. I want to give you very briefly 3 areas that I think the truth of our allegiance to Christ and our assumption of him as a victor is often seen failing. The first is money. You know, the world didn't always work on money. Rich people did, nations did, but most people didn't have money. They might have had chickens or eggs or wheat or pigs or some kind of thing they grew or raised and bartered it for something else that they needed from somebody else. And that was what they had. Today, we all work on money. So money is not just the things that we can get that we want. Money is what we have to get the things that we need. So money can easily become, and usually is, our security. And when it's there, we're feeling pretty good. And when it's not there, we start to worry. Every single one of us, if we're honest with ourselves. We might see it as greed. That might be part of the problem. But isn't part of the problem that when the money that we think we need, we're not sure if it's going to be there? Isn't part of the problem that we're not sure about our champion? That we're not really sure he's the winner that we hoped he was because he promised he'd take care of us. And there's my checkbook balance, and here are my bills, and the bills are higher. And he sure doesn't look like a champion in that moment. Well, if money isn't your hang-up, your weakness, think about power. Few of us admit to wanting power, but I'll tell you the time that we all want power. Raise your hand if you ever got upset because things didn't go your way. And the rest of you, I'm sorry, forgive me, you're lying. Because in our power, we say we want things to go our way. We don't have to be an Elon Musk or a president of a country or the CEO of any company or a billionaire to want power. Why? Against security. Security now with the layer of preference. And when things don't go our way, if we're honest, we say to God, God, what's going on? I thought you had me. I thought this was going to go a certain way. It's not going that way, and I don't get it. Some of us are honest enough with God to say that. And God understands and can handle honesty. Others of us are too afraid even to admit that that's what we're thinking. But if we back God, if he's our champion, even when we are weak, even when we don't get our way, if we trust our champion, of course it's going to work out the way it should. So the question we wrestle with when we wrestle with our power is, are we the champion or is he? And let's be honest and say sometimes we're not so sure he's the champion that we thought he was. And there's one more area I want to bring to your attention that all of us, whether we admit it or not, wrestle with who's the champion. And that's death. Death. One of the two things they say we can't get around in life, death and taxes, right? Our death is what drives so many of us to be obsessed with holding on to our life. And to a certain degree, that's a good thing. God gave us a survival instinct. But he also told us that if we would save our own lives, we're going to lose it. But if we lose our lives for his sake, then we find it. So whether our weakness is money, power, or death, and it's probably all three, the reality is we are all a little more feeble and unstable in trusting Christ as our champion. And what we're going to see throughout this coming week is that he is the champion. Having no money, having given up, going from ultimate power to having none of it, as he allows us to nail him to the cross and ultimately accepts even death, our worst enemy. All for what? As we're going to say over and over again, all for us and for our salvation. If we do nothing else this Lent and this coming Holy Week now, maybe we can admit to ourselves and to God how little we've really treated him like the champion he is, especially in those moments of our life when we really need a winner as we define a winner, and it looks like he's just not showing up. I said in the beginning, there's a secret to picking a winner. It's not picking the one that looks to be a winner. It's picking the one that ends up as the winner. And everything we're going to see Christ do throughout this coming week until the very end is going to make him look like the ultimate loser. What rabbi would bow down before his students and wash their feet? That's what the world would call the ultimate loser. But that's our God. That's our God who, because of his love for us, is our champion. When it looks like he is, and especially for us, when it doesn't look like it. And I hope that as this week of Holy Week goes through, as we see him appearing to lose and lose and lose, I hope we can hang on and realize that he is the ultimate winner. And then, take that new idea about our God who looks to so many to be the ultimate loser, but who with eyes of faith shows himself as the ultimate winner. Then we take that same assurance, that same hope, because we receive that same love from him, and take that to all of the situations in our life where we think he's failed. My brothers and sisters, he has never failed us, and he never will. It doesn't matter how difficult the difficulties or challenges we face, no matter how unlikely victory looks. Victory looked very unlikely on Holy Friday. But then came Holy Pascha. Let's realize that God is the ultimate winner, and let's trust him to win for us. He's winning for us today, which is why we gather together on this joyous feast. He's going to win for us tomorrow and every day. And he is going to be our winner and our champion now and forever and to the ages of ages. Amen.